Okay, so for no particular reason, I wanted to talk about some prospects here today in a manner that kind of just gives us a little bit of an update, you know? We had ourselves a few rookie tournaments going on in Traverse City, first and foremost. We had the rookie showcase that was being done on the east side with New York and Philadelphia and all of them. We also had what was the Arizona Coyotes hosted Rookie Faceoff Tournament being held with all the California teams and Arizona, of course. Vegas was in there as well. There was a boatload of hockey to catch up on in the past few days, all involving the prospects and giving us all so much fodder to talk about. This is why I said a few days ago, this time is my favorite time of the year. Everybody's getting excited. We're getting the last little bits done of contracts and buyouts and signings and all that before the season actually gets underway, and I wanted to talk about two guys in particular who have no connection whatsoever to any teams that I cheer for, that just happen to be guys that I think are cool. Let's talk today about that Rookie Faceoff Tournament that went on in Arizona, and talk about the Arizona Coyotes' 9th overall pick at the 2021 draft, Dylan Guenther, as well as a guy who had himself a really good impact in a similar game, Tyler Madden of the Los Angeles Kings. So, the reason we're talking about these two guys here today is, of course, not because there's any connection to a team that I cheer for, but because we had ourselves a few really interesting performances by these guys in the previous games done over here at the Rookie Faceoff Tournament. Now, the tournament actually concluded yesterday. It ran from September 17th over to September 20th. The 20th was yesterday, by the way. And we had ourselves what was a boatload of games, all being broadcasted on the NHL pages of these teams. Arizona was in there the entire way through, playing a whole bunch of games, and we saw ourselves a really good showcase from one Dylan Guenther. Now, Guenther is a really interesting name and one that I'm going to be having my eye on in the next few years as his NHL career goes forward. He's 18 years old, 6'1", 181, left-wing, right-wing player. He's a right-handed shot, and he's a guy who was taken 9th overall by the Arizona Coyotes at the 2021 NHL Entry Draft. He was a really interesting pick because during the draft and the entire pre-draft period before it actually went down, he was ranked as high as 4th overall by ISS. TSN and Craig Button had him at 9th, McKeen's had him at 8th, McKenzie had him at 6th, and in fact, there was a pretty sizable amount of people out there that were considering Guenther to being potentially a top 3, top 4 lock. Even Craig Button, he had himself an appearance on a podcast that he did where he spoke about Dylan Guenther and he said, I wouldn't be surprised if Guenther went 1st overall. That's just kind of the ceiling that people see within this guy because his overall skill set, his passing ability, his shooting ability, it's all really nice, you know? He's got a really good perimeter kind of game. It's almost like a William Nylander sort of style with Dylan Guenther over here. Not really the top-of-the-line, #1 point-driving machine, but a complimentary player who plays extraordinarily well with elite talent? Yeah, that's kind of what Dylan Guenther is. In his draft year, 2021, he had himself 24 points in 12 games in the WHL and was a point per game for Team Canada at the U18s. He absolutely dominated the WHL this season, and as a result, he has himself the highest PNHL East score out of every NHL-affiliated prospect in the National Hockey League today. It's kind of crazy because his 2-point-per-game rate is just so goodness graciously high. Like, if he sustained a full 2-point-per-game pace for an entire season's worth of time, who knows, he could have gone 1st overall. Either way, though, he went 9th, was not one of the top guys in this draft like some people thought he would be, like a top 4 or a top 5, but still. Guenther was taken here by Arizona, and he started shooting the lights out at this Rookie Faceoff Tournament. My goodness. You see some of the highlights that the Arizona Coyotes were posting onto their own social media of the goals that Guenther was able to score. He was sniping it from far range like it was nobody's business, just whipping it on net, shattering water bottles, and getting things to go up high. He had himself some really good highlights in this rookie showcase that had a lot of Arizona Coyotes fans thankful that they were able to pick this guy up at 9th overall, especially since there was uncertainty as to whether or not they'd even get a top pick. For Dylan Guenther, though, I do see him as a potential top 6 guy who has a really strong work ethic, but it will depend on how he develops from here, you know? He's a guy that some people were saying could have even been NHL ready at the time of the draft. So if we're seeing it right here in this Rookie Faceoff Tournament, that he's blowing the lights out, he's scoring these goals, he's setting guys up in front too, like he did for Matthias McShelly earlier against the Anaheim Ducks. Unfortunately, the Coyotes lost that game because the Ducks scored immediately after. You had yourselves what was a prospect profile that is so attractive that even if he goes back to the WHL next season, you can bet that he's going to go out there and he is going to have his way. Sure, he might not get 2 points a game. That's somewhat unrealistically high, but you know what? If there's going to be anybody to go out there in the WHL next season and do that, I would probably bet money that Guenther would be that guy. So, for Dylan Guenther going out there, Arizona Coyotes pick, what a great pickup over there. I kind of do think in my mind that based off of the names that were available at that 9th overall spot for Arizona, that Guenther would have been the best pick. You could have convinced me that Wallstead should have been there instead. I know a lot of people will go out there and say, oh, Kosa, because he was drafted before Wallstead. I kind of did think in my mind that Wallstead was the better player, but either way, Guenther at 9, no problems about that. I really liked how the Arizona Coyotes drafted out there, and there were indeed a few other performances that I think are noteworthy as well. In the first game against the LA Kings, where Dylan Guenther went out there and sniped himself a goal, the Arizona Coyotes actually lost that game in a shootout. It was LA Kings forward Tyler Madden who went out there and ended things off in a beautiful way. Tyler Madden is a third-round drafted prospect acquired by the LA Kings in a trade back in 2019. He's a guy who, playing for the Ontario Reign last season, had 5 points in 14 games played, which isn't really great, especially for a first-year AHL guy. But in his time with the Northeastern University Huskies, he was a solid point producer, a goal-scoring, playmaking, slippery machine who would go out there, do some really nice things, have some really good highlights, and as a guy who was a sophomore in that season, put up 37 points in 27 games played. What a fantastic stat line right there. He made the second All-American team in 2019-20 because of it, and was also on the Hockey East first All-Star team, not to mention the New England D1 All-Stars list as well. Tyler Madden just had himself a really sustainable profile as a top-tier NHL prospect, despite the fact that he was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft. Nowadays, though, you're taking a look at Tyler Madden and saying, man, this guy is only 5'11", 152. He's probably gonna have to do some bulking up, right? Well, one would assume that he has done that, and plus he is only 21 years old, so heading over into the Ontario Reign for his second full pro season should not be that big of a hurdle. And you still have yourselves what is the ultimate slippery, skilled nature that Tyler Madden does possess. The shootout goal that he scored against Arizona was phenomenal. He came down the left side, opened himself up into the middle, faked the forehand, went over to the backhand, faked it back to the forehand, and then roofed it up on the backhand on the left side. A quadruple deke performance over there, in tight, over the goalie's pad and in. It was flawless. Like, he kind of toyed with the puck as if it was like a bouncy ball. When you watch it in full time, it's almost like he had a string tied over onto the puck, and he was pulling the puck back and forth on his stick while doing the dekes. It was kind of like that little delay, you know? It looked so fluid when he backhanded it up that even Alex Turcotte here on Pavel Barber's Instagram post said that Tyler Madden is a god. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a center full-time in the National Hockey League or even in the AHL this season. There are so many centers for the LA Kings right now, it's not even funny. Philippe Deneau, Gabe Vilardi, Anze Kopitar, Alex Turcotte himself, not to mention Quinton Byfield, who actually got injured yesterday against the Vegas Golden Knights, so yeah, that kind of does suck. But either way, Tyler Madden has himself the versatility, in my opinion, to become a right-wing player if they really wanted to be that. He's got the skill, he's got the slipperiness, and the awareness two-way to be able to play in that kind of role. Not to mention that if they really wanted to, I think they could use Tyler Madden in a penalty-killing kind of role too. You see this happen once in a while with top NCAA point scorers, especially the smaller guys, that they understand the game so well that if you need them to be grinders, PK guys in the NHL, they can do that. The one that comes to my mind right now is Tyler Mott. He was a University of Michigan guy, and now playing on his NHL team, he's doing pretty well. If Tyler Madden were to become an NHL player and fulfill a role similar to that of a Tyler Mott, I would not be surprised, but I do think he does have a ceiling that allows him to go somewhat higher if things work out well. So, talk to me in the comments what you think about Dylan Guenther, Arizona Coyotes 9th overall pick, taken in the 2021 draft, as well as Tyler Madden, LA Kings prospect, Silky Mitts over here, a fantastic prospect and a guy who, drafted in the 3rd round, is a lot more of a steal than we thought he would be when he was taken in 2018. By a team whose name I actually have not said verbally in this entire video. So talk to me in the comments what you thought about Guenther and Madden. If you're a Kings fan, what do you think? If you're a Coyotes fan, what do you think? I hope you enjoyed this video. Social 99. And Bye.